Hello, AP Computer Science Principal students. This is the final video in this set where we're going through potential written responses, and I'm suggesting tips for how you approach those written responses. We are up to 2C. Oh, I know what I was going to say here. I was going to say that a reminder that written response 1 really relates to your video and program requirements more generally. And these two all refer to the PPR and looking at specific code. Let's go. Consider the procedure identified in part 1 of the procedure section of your PPR reference. So I copied an example up here. You will use the paper handed to you the day of the exam, the PPR that you created. Describe the functionality provided by this procedure. Okay, so I need to do the functionality provided by this procedure is, so I need to talk about that. Explain how implementing this functionality as a procedure results in your program being easier to maintain than if it were not. Okay. The functionality of this procedure results in my program being easier to maintain because. I've got my sentence starters. Okay, so I need to describe this procedure. So this one, functionality, is taking the parameter of search serial and returning, let's use some terms, traversing the list serial name to find the matching image of search serial and return the image of the serial. So when I said that part of this goal is prove you understand your own code, this is testing that you can explain. There isn't a single explanation in a certain order you need. You need to prove you understand what your program is doing. Now, the functionality of this procedure results in my program being easier to maintain because it helps organize my code. Providing a procedural abstraction. I think that's too much. So it helps organize my code. So it's really asking about this. I'm going to just write it, procedural abstraction, right? This idea that this procedure somehow helps you maintain code better. So either it helps organize your code, or instead of having to write this code several times in several different places, you can just call your function, your procedure, and it will implement it. So in this case, this really helps organize my code and allows this serial search to be done on the button pressed. Okay. Let's look up. Consider the list included in the list section of your personalized your PPR. So here is a list, serial name. Suppose another programmer adds several new elements to the end of this list. Explain how the code segment in part 2 of the list would need to be modified to account for the additional elements. If no changes to the code segment are necessary, explain why this is the case for your program. Okay. If a programmer were to add several new elements to the end of my list, and there's my sentence starter, My list is called, so my list, I'm going to name it here. Serial name. How would it need to be modified to account for, or if no changes, explain? So what we do with serial name is we traverse the list serial name. And there need to be no changes because the list already goes till I is less than the length of the list. And so the length of the list would change value and the code would work just fine. No changes to my code would be necessary because the iteration, or because the for loop runs until, and I'm going to list this condition, I is less than serial name dot length. As the list grows, so would dot length of my list. And all elements would be traverse. What? I hesitate only because of specifics. I don't think you get dinged on it, but as soon as it matches, it returns. So this doesn't actually like traverse the entire list. As soon as it finds a match, it returns it. So how am I going to say this? Because the for loop runs until da 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 da. Did I get that right? Serial name. Yep. So list grows. So would the length of my list. And the loop is coded to iterate through full list is how I'm going to put it. So again, it is so important to me that you break it down and you address each part that you're being asked and make it as clear to the grader as possible what part you are addressing and making sure you don't skip any. This does not need to be in paragraph, right? I am not deleting this. So it's one paragraph. That's not easy for me to understand as I write it. So I'm going to keep it like this, and that's absolutely fine.